Welcome back to the Aquarius podcast, where we talk about astrology with emotional intelligence. On April 17th, we're having a new moon in Aries. Do you feel that fire in your chest? That urgency deep inside that you can't ignore? That's the Aries new moon sparking your instincts, your courage, your impatience. Today isn't about waiting, it's about starting raw, unfiltered, unapologetic. If you've been holding back, tolerating discomfort, or hesitating, the universe is pushing you. Are you ready to move with intention and eliminate disrespect from your life? Or will the fire move you? This Aries stellium transit isn't gentle at all. It's not calm, it's not patient or thoughtful. It feels like a nerve is being touched because we have Aries at the sun, moon, Mercury, Mars, Saturn, Neptune, and Chiron. Is that enough fire for you? Here are 5 emotions you're likely to feel under this transit. Number 1, restlessness. Everything feels like it's been turned on, okay? Waiting, pausing, or hesitating feels unbearable. There is a strong urge to act right away, to move even before things are clear. Secondly, you will feel irritation. Small frustrations feel like personal attacks. Minor setbacks are going to feel like you're being delayed and punished. Misunderstandings or limitations on your freedom are going to be interpreted as much bigger than they actually are. Your nervous system is ready for a fight. The third emotion you're going to feel is anger. Anger is not just annoyance, it's a deep, immediate, instinctive flare that needs to be released. It's the fire of survival. That's what Aries is. It's about asserting your identity for the sake of survival. It's about defending your personal space and your autonomy. Fourthly, you're going to feel vulnerability underneath all that fire. There is a feeling here of being exposed. When Aries is aligned with the moon and the sun, blending it together, it brings tension. And then when you throw Pluto in the mix, it brings a raw sensitivity, a fear of being dominated, being overpowered, being ignored, being invisible, just losing your sense of agency. This feeling drives much of the reactivity that you're going to be noticing. And lastly, the fifth emotion is urgency. Everything feels urgent under an Aries new moon, especially when it's this loaded with Aries energy. Decisions, actions, and communications cannot wait. It feels like life itself is pushing you to move forward, to start something, to face something, to change something, to break something. Together, these emotions, restlessness, irritation, anger, vulnerability, and urgency, are creating a tense, high energy emotional landscape. Here's what it most likely will feel like for all of us. Frustration is going to be at an all-time high because people are going to be more impatient and quicker to react. So there's less of a willingness to cope with uncertainty when Aries energy is present. You can feel it in conversations, in the traffic on the road. You can feel it online in how people are communicating, even in leadership at work. The mood is going to be tense, sharp, and reactive. This new moon sparks the instincts to assert yourself, to fight, to reclaim space. And again, this is all tied to our survival. Aries energy is instinct energy because Aries is the infant of the zodiac. There is a shared restlessness and a feeling that something has been building for too long. Systems seem slow. Communication can feel evasive and people can feel unheard. That pressure that has been building is now erupting under a sense of urgency, and it feels bold and strong. You might notice irritation coming up very fast. Small annoyances feel like bigger frustrations. Delays feel like a personal affront to you. Being ignored can feel like being erased or eliminated. There's anger around all of us, but it's not random. It's the anger of feeling like you're losing yourself, like you're becoming powerless and you want things to change, but things are moving too slowly. And then with all that fire, there's a desire, there's a yearning, a strong, clear wish for honesty, for independence, for progress. People want straightforward transparency. They want action that moves life forward. The new moon is stripping away the politeness that's been hiding under resentment. It's bringing confrontation. It's bringing anger and conflict to the table. But here's the honest truth. Underneath all the anger, though, there's vulnerability. And that vulnerability is really coming from exhaustion, this fear of being erased, of losing control, this deep need to feel seen and to feel respected. Aries energy is honest. It's honest, just like a child. When Aries wants attention, they demand it. When they're ignored, they erupt. Reacting impulsively is tempting under an Aries new moon, but the real growth comes from channeling this intensity into deliberate, conscious action instead of letting your impulses take over. Together, we're all being pushed to face what we've been tolerating that no longer works for us. The question isn't, is the fire here? You will be feeling it burning very brightly. It's how consciously will we use the fire? That's the question. Will we choose to move with intention, or are we going to choose to let anger take over? The darker side of this Aries new moon is impulsive destruction. When Aries is in their low vibrational energy, they think every conflict can only be resolved by burning bridges or escalating it and reacting without thinking. There's also a chance to start fresh with courage, to say what's been left unsaid, to begin something bold. This energy will test our emotional maturity. Can we act without losing control? Can we stand up for ourselves without hurting other people? Can we push for change without being reckless? Now, on to some do's and don'ts under this Aries new moon transit. Number 1, pause before you react. With so much Aries energy in the air firing off, our instincts are going to be sharp. And the desire to move is going to be almost instinctive. Even taking a few deep breaths before we act can help us avoid overreacting or making impulsive mistakes. Number 2, channel your energy in a positive way. Physical activity is a wonderful way to release aggression without harming others. Getting into a creative project, starting something new, or finishing something that was already started. Intense energy flow is pleasurable even when it doesn't cause conflict or harm others. Thirdly, this transit is calling for boundaries. The moon's tension with the ascendant and descendant can trigger relationship issues. So speak your truth calmly but firmly. Protect your independence without making things worse. Some of the things you don't want to do under an Aries new moon are reacting out of anger. Because the thing about fire signs, and this is coming from someone who is a Sagittarius stellium, so I'm very familiar with our fire, and I am very comfortable in our fire because Sagittarius is, after all, the most mature of all the fire signs. So when we get in our fire bag energy and we're ready to burn, baby, we don't stop until we get there. We don't stop until there's ashes all the way to the ground and you cannot find anything identified. Any minor slight can feel like an attack under, this Pluto moon influence. So it's important to be aware of your impulsivity because the impulsivity can make conflict worse. Conflict is a part of life. It's unavoidable. All of us have to deal with it. We're here to learn how to resolve conflict to make our relationships better, not how to react without thinking or even with the aim of destroying our relationships. Number two, don't ignore your vulnerability. Aries, as the infant of the zodiac, is actually quite sensitive. We don't talk enough about that in the astrology community. We focus more on the war and the bravado of Mars and the combustible energy of Aries, but we never ask ourselves, why do they do that? Why they're always ready to draw their weapon and fight? And the answer is simple, is for self-protection. Well, why do they need to protect themselves? Because they feel vulnerable. They feel exposed. Okay? Pushing it down turns intensity into frustration and anger. So, whenever you're feeling feelings, it's important to acknowledge them and communicate them in relationship so that they can be addressed, they can be labeled appropriately, managed appropriately. But suppressing them is only going to feed the fire further. So, do not deny your sensitivity, your vulnerability, and do not ignore it. All right. Moving on to the last don't. Don't take on too much or isolate yourself. Ambition and idealism are going to be very strong under this Aries new moon, but overloading yourself with work or cutting off social connections can actually hurt your long term goals because Aries functions best when they incorporate Libra's energy, which is their sister sign. The other side of Aries is Libra. Aries functions best when they work in partnership because they're fully capable of doing it all on their own. But when they can conceptualize a reality where other people can be helpful, it takes their imagination, their creativity to a whole nother level. The core idea here is to act boldly but thoughtfully. Stand up for your independence and protect it while staying connected to your feelings. Okay? This is fire with purpose. So it needs to be grounded. Now, let's look at some of the aspects associated with this moon transit. We have the moon being conjunct the sun. That's what happens when we have a new moon. But the moon is also square Pluto, square the ascendant, square the descendant. It's conjunct the midheaven. It's in opposition to the IC, which is the home, and it is square fortune. So you should expect issues on the home front, just like you should expect some new revelations. You should expect some transformation because the way that you have been doing things is being tested. Your personality needs to evolve. Your relationship with work needs to evolve. Your marriage will also be tested. This Aries new moon is asking you to be reborn. Your identity and your emotions are being fused together as one. When the sun and the moon are in the same zodiac sign, there is no clear line between what we feel and who we are. There's an over identification with our emotions and our ego, and both those things are happening simultaneously. So reactions come very fast, and we don't really think about them very deeply because they're tied to our sense of self. So we act first, and then we think later. The upside is that we're being authentic. That's Aries energy. We're being courageous. But the downside is that we're not aware of our blind spots and our impulsivity because we're caught up in the moment. Now, add the moon being conjunct the midheaven, emotions are going to be public. They're going to be on display. Your drive, your moods, your ambition, all of them are going to be on display. Your career and reputation are going to be feeling very sensitive right now, perhaps even a bit exposed. You can't separate yourself from your path. It's really tied to your emotional survival. The opposition to the IC, which is the home, as I mentioned earlier, is going to show some tension between your public persona, your public independence and presentation, and your private vulnerability. So the home and the public life are going to be erupting because there are colliding violently together. Your home life might feel less important than your work life during this time. The moon being square Pluto brings deep psychological intensity and analysis to the surface. Power struggles, manipulation games, control issues, emotional extremes are going to be coming to the surface. Underneath the boldness is a sensitivity to feeling overpowered or ignored. When triggered, reactions can escalate very fast under this Aries new moon. This aspect is calling for some shadow work. Shadow work is Scorpio's middle name, as Scorpio is ruled by Pluto, the planet of transformation. The moon square the ascendant and descendant indicates intense relationships are going to be coming to a halt. You will find yourself provoking reactions in other people, and you will observe other people reacting to your energy and reflecting it back to you. Partnerships under an Aries moon are hardly ever neutral. They become a place of battle. They become a battleground for independence and passionate self identity. Because one thing Aries is not going to do is submit. Okay? Aries is knock if you buck energy. Aries is takes no prisoner energy. Aries would rather die in the fire than admit defeat. Moon square part of fortune suggests that being impulsive with our feelings is going to cause problems. Our luck is going to get better when we learn to control our reactions. Okay? Now, as if all of this was not already a big hot mess, what we're going to add to it is Aries being at Mercury, which means our communication style is going to be unfiltered, raw, and direct. Aries being at Mars, meaning that we're competitive, we're quick to anger, we're quick to dominate because we are driven purely by our will to survive. So whenever conflict comes to the table, we want to be number one. It's all about winning and it's all about being number one. That's all that matters. Aries being a Saturn is bringing some tension. As you know, Saturn restricts. So there are going to be some harsh lessons here about the importance of discipline, even when we are asserting ourselves. Okay? Aries being a Neptune is also bringing idealism to the forefront. Idealism that we have about independence and possible identity confusion when we're disappointed. The limits of our independence. Are we aware of where those limits are? Aries being a Chiron is also surfacing deep wounds around being accepted for who we really are, being authentic, and wanting our authentic presentation in the world to be enough, to not be challenged, to not be debated. What we're learning here is that strength isn't about constantly reacting to things, but rather it's about controlling our energy. The real strength is not in the action, but in the will, in the power that is behind the action, in the ability to decide that we can, that we do have the courage to move forward. Now, here are some affirmations, one for each rising sign, based on the house that will be impacted by this Aries new moon. If you're Aries rising, of course, for you, this falls in the first house. I want you to step fully into yourself and claim your path. Aries is a leader, so act like it. Okay? Taurus rising, for you, this falls in the 12th house, which is the house of karma. I want you to release what's holding you back. It's time for you to start planting seeds in private for your new beginning because you're going on a new journey and the one that you're currently on is coming to an end. Gemini rising, for you, this falls in the 11th house, the house of friendship. Take bold action with your community and your personal goals. The 11th house is also the house of values. Moving on to Cancer rising, for you, this falls in the 10th house, which is the house of a public image. It's time for you to move decisively in your career and in your public life. Own your identity, own your power, and stand in it. Okay? Leo rising, for you, this falls in the ninth house. This is the house of expansion. Embrace adventure. To expand your vision, you must be willing to try new things. All right? Virgo rising, for you, this falls in the eighth house, which is the house of transformation. It's also the house of trauma and fears. It's time for you to face your fears, Virgo rising. You cannot transform your power until you dominate your fears. So there's no need to fight the world. The fight that you're looking for is within. All right? Libra rising, for you, this falls in the seventh house. This is the house of collaborations and partnership. It's time for you to initiate authentic partnership with clearer boundaries. Relationships work best when everybody knows and respects their limits. All right? Scorpio rising, for you, this falls in the sixth house. This is the house of healing. It's the house of Virgo. It's the house of work life balance. Act to improve your daily routines. Your health and work balance are your responsibility. It's not enough to fantasize about a life that is streamlined. You must create it. Okay? Sagittarius rising, for you, this falls in the fifth house. This is the house of joy and pleasures. Express your creativity and passions and do so without hesitation. Life is meant to be enjoyable. We can't wait for joy. Sometimes we have to create it. Okay? Capricorn rising, for you, this falls in the fourth house. I want you to build a home and an inner life that truly supports your emotional well being. It's not good enough for it to look good, but not feel good. I want it to feel good in the home and look good on the outside. All right? Aquarius rising, for you, this falls in the third house. I want you to speak clearly, learn boldly, and act locally. Okay? Your area of intervention is in your local community. Be clear about your intentions and move forward with that. Moving on to Pisces rising. For you, this falls in the second house, which is the house of values and self esteem. I want you to claim your worth, claim your resources, and claim your independence. Every zodiac sign is going to experience reactivity differently under this Aries new moon. Fire signs, we explode. Earth signs, they freeze. Air signs, they overthink. And water signs, they absorb. Aries energy is usually fast, reactive, and embodied. Here's an emotional regulation tool that all of us can use that uses the strength of that fire. Okay, fire works well with breath, right? Fire needs oxygen. So, breath, body, and direct naming can bring us a lot of regulation under this Aries new moon because it's going to foster conscious action so that our impulses are harnessed rather than projected in a destructive manner. So, this tool is called the pause, name, and channel method. Okay, so three parts: pause, name, and channel. Number one, pause. Stop for 3 deep breaths, ground your body, feel your feet on the ground, and notice the surge of emotions coming up for you without immediately reacting. It's very important for fire signs to breathe. This interrupts impulsivity, no matter what your sign, in fact, is. Okay? After we've taken that pause, we're going to go to step two, naming. I want you to identify the core emotion in 1 or 2 words. I feel, and then say the emotion. I feel angry. I feel scared. I feel anxious. I feel exhausted. I feel confused. I feel frustrated. I feel overwhelmed. I feel excited. I feel happy. I feel joyful. It's important to name the emotion. Naming it brings the emotion into our conscious awareness, which is just our brain being activated and recognizing that we're having the feeling. And it also brings somatic awareness, which is our body recognizing where within it we're feeling this feeling. Okay. Now, moving on to step 3, channel, right? After we've paused, we've named, we channel. Fire energy channels via movement the best. This is why fire signs, you guys that have this energy of sun, moon, and rising, especially Mars, you need to be working out if you can, if you're able body, because you need to release that energy one way or the other. It's either you're going to release it in a harmless way or you're going to release it in a way that hurts other people. Some physical release activities are walking, stretching, doing push ups, pull ups, jumping rope. Aries particularly loves fast pace. So Aries would do really well with jump rope. You know, if I was working with an Aries client that was working on regulating, I would recommend just jumping rope for just 30 seconds whenever you get frustrated, just to kind of get the wiggles out. You know, remember, Aries is an infant. Everything for them is very primal, it's very instinctive. And when I say the wiggles out, I mean that because children need to get the wiggles out before they can actually do serious tasks. You know, responding to our frustration is the adult serious task, but Aries is not capable of reaching that level of modulation to be able to respond appropriately until the excess energy has been released. If you're not able to physically release, then you have to creatively release. This is an area where Leo particularly shines, you know, whether it's speaking it out, drawing it out, writing it out, singing it out, performing it out. Leo is a master of self expression for the sake of releasing emotions that are deeply buried inside of them. Creative self expression is a very powerful way to detox your aura of energies that you no longer want to hold on to. Now, lastly, the third way to release that kind of fiery tension is doing some reflection. And this is where Sagittarius shines. Reflective processing is a way to meditate as well as journal on what happened, what you're feeling, and what you want to do about it. You know, the beautiful thing about reflective processing is that it offers clarity. So it puts a bit of a wall between you and the emotions. And the best part is that it gives you a vision for the next step. Not only are you able to identify what was, what happened, right? That's what was, what is, how I feel about it. That's the present. But it gives you that pause to really imagine, what do I want to do about it? Now that this has happened and I feel this way, what's next? What's my next step? This is where Sagittarius shines, okay? Regardless of your rising sign, I want you to identify one of these activities that you choose to engage in to channel this destructive impulse that all of us are going to be under. So it can be quick physical release, creative expression, or reflective processing. Here's the bottom line about this Aries new moon: it's going to feel raw. Everyone is going to feel impatient. You're going to be feeling impulsive. It's going to be impossible to ignore the sensitivity, urgency, and combustible energy in the air. Aries does not ask for permission. Aries does not wait for agreement. Aries does not hide behind politeness. It simply acts, it grabs, it takes what it wants, and it doesn't care who it pisses off in the process. What this transit is asking, though, is for you to be honest about these feelings that you're having inside. What are you done tolerating? What are you ready to start doing because you're done tolerating that thing? This transit is pushing you to get real about what's been bothering you. It's pushing you to take an honest action towards resolution. But the power is in how you choose to resolve the issue. Yes, we can blow everything up and destroy everything, or or we can choose to act in a sensible manner. Okay? And acting in a sensible manner requires us to pause, to breathe, so we can feel the fire and then to direct our actions with intention. Remember, this energy isn't here to punish you, it's here to wake you up, to bring you clarity, and to jolt you up so you have the courage to do that thing you've been afraid to do. The only question is, will you let the fire move you, or will you move with the fire? Can you integrate your anger with purpose? This new moon calls you to claim yourself fully and authentically. Step into your power. Own your truth. Start now and do it on purpose. You have the power to create the life you desire. Only you can do it. You're fully capable of doing it. You have all the resources you need to do it. Own your power and act accordingly. Happy new moon in Aries. I look forward to reconnecting with you on May 1st for full moon in Scorpio. You guys know that's my favorite full moon, so I'm very excited about that. I'll catch up with you then. You can book your astrology reading at intuitivehealing.com. You can also watch videos at Intuitive Healing here on YouTube for Astrology 101 content. Listen to the Aquarius podcast on Spotify, as well as here on YouTube for your horoscope. If you're interested in astrology and love connections, you can visit at Styled Under Libra. And of course, for health and wellness and holistic healing, visit at Styled Under Virgo for all of your astrology content. Thanks so much for watching.